Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of November. I hope you are well. I'm using the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot for you today. So let's get straight on and see what's going on with you. Can I have 3 cards for Libra, please? Ooh, there's the first one. We have the Magician in your recent past. Current energy, please, for Libra. We have 3 of Pentacles. And what is coming towards Libra for November, please? Ooh, we have the 6 of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, we do have the 5 of Swords, and that is followed by the Queen of Cups. Let's get some clarifiers, and hello, Triple Goddess it is, and see what's going on with this. I have to say, this is actually the second time that I did your reading. I did your reading, and as I finished your reading, I tried to press the stop recording button, only to realise that it hadn't recorded at all. I've been sat there talking to myself effectively for 40 minutes, and I had absolutely nothing to show for it. So I'm going to hopefully try and remember some of the things that came out in that, and see where they perhaps carry across into this reading too. It could well be that that reading actually was just to purge a little bit of energy out of the way, and this is what you should be focusing on, rather than this is what it kind of has been up until this point. I don't know. No doubt it will become clear over the course of this reading. But tell me about this Magician, please. Why is this here? Thank you. We have Queen of Swords, that's you, Libra, and we have the 3 of Pentacles. Tell me about the 3 of Pentacles. We have the 3 of Cups. There it is. And what else? We also have the 9 of Swords. Tell me about the 6 of Cups, please. We have the 3 of Wands. There's a lot of 3s down here, isn't there? Shit. Whatever that was. I don't even know where it went. Ah. King of Pentacles again. That made quite the appearance in your last reading too. Right. We have the 7 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Also a card that came up for you. But we do have the Wheel of Fortune underneath it. Now this is a new addition. This kind of Deus Ex Machina sidewards energy did not appear in the last reading. Excuse me. And it's so funny, I should have referred to it as a purge. Because looking at these cards, I can see how they relate to the last reading. And I can also see how there was possibly a little bit too much personal excavation in that reading, and a little less pointing in the direction that you should be going in, really, or you know, could be going in if you so chose. Now, we start off in your recent past with the Magician. Right? This is a very powerful card of manifestation. It's about results, and it's about getting results. And just like I saw in the last reading, there has been something that you have been applying your formidable practical abilities to. Let's put it like that. But I do feel like there is something here that isn't going as well as it could have done, right? And that was very clearly what was going on in the last reading too. There were lots of themes of exhaustion, and also, you know, a lack of boundaries where there should have been some. And the absence thereof has kind of pulled you into a state whereby you're sort of being called to make a decision about something that actually conflicts with your idea of your sense of self, like who you actually are and what it is that you do, what you stand for, you know, the way that you show up for things. And the feeling that I've got of this Magician here is the feeling that you felt like you could have made a difference. You felt like you could make a difference. There's no reason why you shouldn't have been able to make a difference. And yet, this 3 of Pentacles here, which is a card of cooperation and collaboration, and you know, people working together as it's presenting to me energetically here, it actually feels more like an edifice that you are trying to climb, whereby you are trying to get people to work with you. You are trying to get people to cooperate with you in order to create some sort of result here that clearly needs to happen. We've got the Queen of Swords down there. That is you, for sure. But it feels like there's somewhat of a disparity between what you believed you could achieve and what in reality is actually happening. Like I said, this Three of Pentacles is odd because it feels like it should be people working together to come to some sort of shared goal, you know, the creation of some sort of shared vision. But it feels to me like you're kind of scurrying around and tapping on this edifice with your sword and being like, excuse me, hello, I need some help with this. And the thing that you need help with doesn't even feel like it's actually you. Queen of Swords again. And the Magician again. And the Four of Swords. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm feeling that all day long. So, double Magician, double Queen of Swords. Like, you have really applied everything that you have to this situation, and yet that Three of Pentacles feels like a triumph of people saying the right thing and then doing nothing. If you can even find the people to talk to that you need to. There's a distinct lack of action. There's all of this intention here from you, and there's all of this attempt of communication or working through situations. Or you're very discerning, you're very good at working out different aspects of stuff, right? And sometimes that can lead to a sort of analysis paralysis because, you know, you sort out the pros and the cons so very fucking well. There is a little to choose in direction, you know. It's kind of like, well, I can see everything in this direction and I can see everything in this direction. Neither of those feel particularly good, and yet I am still driven to try and effect some sort of change here. This Three of Pentacles doesn't feel like it's taking shape. It doesn't feel like it's taking any kind of meaningful shape. And so what's happening is you're becoming depleted. What's happening, I feel, is that you're becoming slightly jaded with yourself. And as I was referring to before with your previous reading, there was a distinct sense that there was responsibility felt by you for something, and it's not your situation. That feels quite strong. It's not your situation, but there's a responsibility that is being felt here, whereby you feel obliged, that duty bound almost, to go and do a thing to help someone else out, to help a group of people out, to help perhaps change some sort of situation. And what's happened is you're just taking all of the burden on by yourself, and it doesn't matter how high-minded you are at this point. And notice this is very interesting, right? Thematically, right across the board, every single one of these characters has got something that they are holding up to the sky. Are they all in there? They're not all in the right. Queen of Swords has got the sword in the right hand. The Magician. Oh, the Magician also has it in their right hand. So every single one of these characters is holding something aloft here, right? It's a higher ideal. It's a higher sense of doing what is right, combining not just your intent, and it is a powerful intent, but also your ability to be able to sift through, work through things and find a solution. Very solution-oriented thinking. And this goes very well with the Magician because it's very results-based kind of actions. But it doesn't feel like it's getting anywhere to me. And we've got the Four of Swords. Now the Four of Swords can be taking a break, it can be taking a rest, it can even be about getting kind of meditative about stuff. But for you, it feels like the slow dawning realization that you are not getting somewhere with something. And that in order to save your own sanity, certainly protect your energy levels a little better, it's necessary for you to step back from this. Now, What was interesting about the last reading was as soon as we got into this sense of stepping back from something, that's where I felt a level of resistance from you. It was like, not feeling comfortable with that. Five of Swords, Seven of Pentacles at the bottom of the decks there, right? The situation is far from optimal as it's playing out here at the moment, but there's some sort of mental hesitation, some sort of mental restriction that is stopping you from committing to a new path forwards, and one that possibly involves you a little less. Like I said, there's a great sense of duty and responsibility here. But I'm not sure that it was ever yours to carry, and now you're kind of sucked into everything, you know? We've got, in your current energy, we've got the Three of Pentacles again, and we also have the Three of Cups. It feels to me like you are playing a hugely supportive role at this point. And when I say hugely supportive, I mean to an order of magnitude far and above what actually you realistically are capable of providing at this point. And not because you're weak, and not because you don't have any energy or anything like that. I feel fundamentally this actually isn't your problem, and yet you have allowed it to be your problem. And I get a sense that you are forming an emotional support for other people, and you are not getting the same back in return. This Three of Pentacles actually feels quite sinister to me as it's showing up here. Fucking plane. How rude. It'll disappear in a minute. I'm quite near the flight path for Newcastle Airport, but we don't tend to get planes over very often. You feel to me like you're giving and giving and giving and supporting and supporting and supporting, and there is literally nothing coming back in return. Not one thing. And so on the face of it, that's a situation where you'd be like, well why? Why are you putting yourself in that situation if you're getting nothing back? It's that sense of duty and responsibility. But why, when we know it's not your responsibility? Does that sense of duty and responsibility still keep pushing forwards? I think it is because there is something here that is speaking to a particular view that you have of yourself, right? So when we say, I am this kind of person, and I am absolutely not ever this kind of person, which a lot of people do all of the time, it tells you a lot about someone, you know, particularly if you're taking pride in the things that you are. And if one of the things that you've prided yourself on is being a solution-oriented thinker, if you pride yourself on getting things done, if you pride yourself on the ability that you have to just roll up your sleeves and get stuck into something because there isn't much that isn't fixed by hard work, then you've been left somewhat baffled by why this situation is still continuing. Because according to all of your past previous experience, this should be fixed now. You've applied big magician energy to it, you've shown up authentically, you've done your thing, you've been supportive, you've tried to work with other people. Why the hell is this not de-escalating now? Nine of Swords. Good Lord. It's my elbow. Nine of Swords. It is in fact just getting worse. It is becoming, it's draining as fuck. Like, it really is draining. I don't feel like you're sleeping properly. Or if you are sleeping, you're not getting enough sleep because of all of the things that you're putting on yourself. But you do seem to me to be very, very worried at this point. The conversation that we need to have, Libra, is whether you're worrying because there's part of your sense of self, your understanding of yourself, that is almost necessary to allow to die, right? A little bit of yourself that you need to sacrifice, that which you have had pride in order to get out of the deadlock that you seem to be stuck in right now. I'm talking about the pride that you have in being the person with the answers, the pride that you have in being the one who can fix stuff, the pride that you have in being that person who shows up and is supportive, you know. Something about this situation and walking away from this situation, I feel, has already occurred to you, but it sits very uncomfortably within you. It causes this tension between who you think you are and who you would have to be, or certainly how your subconscious would judge you to be if you were to walk away from this. But then I would draw your attention back to the fact that you've put in everything that you have to this. Past experience dictates that there's no reason why this should not have been fixed already. And yet here we are. Tell me about this Nine of Swords, please. Nine of Swords. So the first card out that you've got is the Eight of Cups, and that makes sense. I noticed that. It's the Justice card flipped in the deck there. I'm going to turn that around because I like them all facing the same way. Tell me about this Nine of Swords, please. Thank you. We've got the Knight of Wands, and we've got the Chariot, and we've got the Hermit. This reading is restating things in a slightly different way, but it is the same fucking reading. We're coming to the same sort of issues that we were before. The thing that is really concerning you here, Nine of Swords, is not only that you are being drained, not only that you are not getting anywhere, and these results, you know, that you like to be able to produce are now not showing up, but because part of you really does just want to walk the fuck away from this situation. You know, in the Eight of Cups, I see this figure here and he's walking away, right? We see we've got these 8 cups stacked, but we have a space where there should be one here, right? And it's the whole card is designed so that you pay attention to that space. Now that space is the 9th cup. Simultaneously, actually, it is the Ace of Cups and it is the 9th cup. And so we have this dual-fold meaning of not only someone who is walking away from 8 cups that no longer fulfill him, but walking towards 9 cups that, you know, which is a card that does speak about personal fulfillment, you know, taking charge of your emotions and all that kind of thing. So the 9th cup is the wish card. It's you being, you having all of the things that make you feel comfortable and content. But it is also the Ace of Cups. And so there's something here about your relationship with yourself. Like, how have you allowed this to get to this point? Have you over-invested? And is it time to start putting a bit more attention back into yourself? Well, I would say yes. But regardless of whether it's walking away or walking towards, and it kind of is both simultaneously for me, the Eight of Cups, we've got a great deal of worry around the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Cups, what the fuck? The Knight of Wands, which is Sagittarius card, and this Chariot, which is the Cancer card. Now, we also have the Hermit at the bottom of the deck, which is Virgo. It strikes me, just as I was saying there before, about, you know, your personal your self-image, right? How you see yourself, what kind of person you think you are, you know, what the content of your character is. It feels to me like, were you to walk away from this situation, what you are concerned about is that not only would you be showing a spectacular lack of commitment, which is something that I can feel makes the hackles on the back of your neck go up, like, holy shit, I am not that person. And that there's something kind of, something that speaks almost of abandonment about the way that you are looking to move forwards, or a part of you is looking to move forwards. But with this Chariot too, and this is not usually an interpretation that I get for the Chariot, that there is something actually supremely selfish about the way that you are thinking about things at the moment. Oh, I really want to challenge that with you, Libra, because there's nothing even remotely selfish about getting to the end of one's tether and realizing that for your own, you know, emotional, mental, and possibly physical well-being, you really need to pull back from something. You know, I do feel like you are taking responsibility for something that isn't really down to you. And it's coming from a deep place of wanting to do good. But the fact that the Hermit is here is suggesting to me that there's a little bit of interrogation that needs to be done here. There are answers within you that are waiting to be discovered. You know, what is it about the act of putting yourself first that feels so awful to you? Because in some ways, Libra, you've really got quite good boundaries with some things, but then there are other things where the boundaries aren't quite so good, and that, generally speaking, harks back to childhood somewhere. You might find it very easy to have good boundaries around social stuff, but when it comes to somebody being in need, suddenly you've got to put your responsibility hat on. And there feels like that feels like a generational thing to me. Not that there's a particular generation that it applies to, but that kind of mentality comes down through generational learning. You know, we're coming from, you, Libra, feel to me that you're coming from an environment where one does not one either, and it's one or the other here. Either one does not waste time in frivolities such as emotions about stuff, right? If there's something that needs to be done, then you do it. If there's somebody that needs your help, then you get on with that because you're made of sterner stuff. Or you fall into the other category of people who are, you know, almost like pathological people pleasers. Like you can't say no to things. I feel like it's a little less likely that it's the latter. I feel really quite strongly that it's the former. But there's something here about your behaviour that feels to you, or the potential direction of travel, the potential behaviour, that feels like it is thoughtless, reckless, you know, immature, kind of uncommitted, a fair weather friend, perhaps. And I just don't think that you are giving yourself credit. I think that you're almost certainly underestimating the severity of the situation here. But rather than what it is that you've been trying to sort out and the way that you haven't had the assistance that you needed and all that kind of thing, like that actually is just an event that's been kind of thrown across your path in order that you see that you haven't really been taking care of yourself very well. That actually, in some ways, you might be, we might say, primed not to look after yourself. There are plans and there are things that you want to do. There are goals that you have set for yourself, but I feel like they're getting further and further away the more that you are giving over to this situation. And it's not about the situation, it's about the way that you are conducting yourself within this situation. There is an opportunity here to go digging within here and find out exactly what the issue is that you have with looking after yourself. What the issue is that you have with like why being uncommitted possibly is something that feels so dreadful that it might actually need to be shoved into the shadow and never spoken of again. You know, the Chariot speaks about all sorts of things. As I've already said, it speaks about goal setting and determination and setting a plan in order to go in a particular direction. But it always starts off with the Chariot and this, you know, whatever it is that's pulling the Chariot. In this case, it's the Sphinxes. We need to get those in, get those into alignment in order that we can move forwards. Because if they're pointing in different directions and you say go, all that's going to happen is they're going to bolt that way and the whole chariot's going to turn over, right? So it's about pulling everything into alignment. It's about controlling the situation. And by situation, I mean the two parts of your personality, the two parts of your mind that are currently at war with themselves, it feels here. And get them talking to each other, get them paying attention to each other, and get them paying attention to you as the charioteer, who makes sure that you go in a in a forward direction. Now, this card also speaks to me of shadow work, and somebody in the comments in a different video went, the chariot isn't shadow work. And I'm like, I don't care if you don't think that the chariot is shadow work. For me, this is my card of shadow work. And what we've got here, sorry, little rant there, but I mean, hey, they mean what they mean at the point that they mean them. Do you know what I mean? This month feels to me like it's you kind of digging deep. You have just had your birthday, all of you. Are we in Scorpio season yet? I think we are. I think we've just gone into Scorpio season. You've just had your birthday. You've had your solar return, and so you know you've got a new year beginning for you here. And I think there is a distinct possibility that unless you make a change now, you will be in the same position next year when your solar return comes back. Okay? There's something here that is screaming for release by you, and you won't let it go. You won't let it out. That to me seems like a question of shadow work. Why are you holding on to this view of you that you have of yourself? Like, why do you not want to concede the point that there may be a point where you reach your limits, where you literally get to the end of your tether, and that in those circumstances it isn't just advisable, but it is the right thing for you to do, that you step back from something, that you look after yourself. You feel to me like you've been trained not to do it, and that might work very well for other people, the people that are around you, but it's very, very damaging for you. And I think that it's taking a toll on your health, Libra. I think that you can feel it. Maybe your energy levels aren't very good. Maybe you're just fucking exhausted, actually, at the moment. That could well be, could well be the thing. Good Lord. That's my little heater. Just, it's cooling down. So I turned it off. We're looking for the seat of the discomfort. You know, between the Nine of Swords and the Chariot card here, there is an opportunity to kind of dig around a little bit in your psyche and work out why you won't release something. Why your first position is, I will be a magician about this. I will throw everything that I have to it. Like, I'm not seeing it here. It did come out in the other reading and there's still time for it to come out. I'm not seeing the Justice card. In the last reading, it felt like not only is the Justice card the card of Libra, but it is also a card of consequences and, you know, potentially karma and what. And there was a sense of perhaps being a little naive about what you got yourself into. Or maybe you did see what you were getting yourself into, but you thought that it would be okay. You thought that you would weather it because you were strong. Well, you are strong, but everybody's got a fucking limit. And I think you reached yours a little while ago, and I think that you've kept on going. Now, as a point of personal survival, part of you is saying, really, put this down, put this down, put this down. This is what I mean when I say that your mind is at war with each other. The parts of your mind are at war with each other, because part of you is trying to fucking save you, and the other part of you is seeing everything that comes from that as an assault on your identity. And that's too much to bear. Like, no, we cannot allow that to happen. Must be disciplined, must be strong. This is one to sit with, Libra. So what's coming towards you in November is the Six of Cups with the Three of Wands and the King of Pentacles. Notice how we have this repeating theme of responsibility coming through with the King of Pentacles. It is also Taurus energy. You might be dealing with the Taurus. If you are, all's the good. I don't think it is. I feel like it's an energetic presentation here. But the Six of Cups is quite the little twist, I think. Because without that Six of Cups, we could look at the Three of Wands and the King of Pentacles, and we could say, right, you're about ready to walk away from that which you have decided was your responsibility, right? Or even that you're changing your behaviors around this, so that you're trying to change the nature of the responsibility that you hold so that it doesn't drain you so much. But these cards are both coming out under the Six of Cups, which is a card that talks about the past. Now, it suggests that the deadlock that you find yourself in with yourself at the moment, because I'm kind of just ignoring this extraneous situation outside of you, because like this is something that you've chosen to get involved with, but actually it's playing out the way that it is to teach you something about yourself. So I'm just kind of putting that to the side, because it'll be slightly different for each of you. What's important is what's going on internally and the kind of insights that you are supposed to be able to work out for yourself this month. The Six of Cups is sometimes about going backwards, right? It can be about important relationships, and I think that there's probably shades of that in here for you. Certainly the way that you show up in relationships, what you expect of other people, but also what you expect of yourself when you are in any kind of, you know, relationship, whether it's transactional, you know, with someone that you're paying for goods and services from, or, you know, friendship, family. But it feels more like a looking backwards. You know, I'm looking at the Six of Cups and I'm actually feeling kind of wistful. So I'm looking at the flowers that are in the cups. We don't have somebody handing over flowers here. They're actually sitting in the cups. Do you know what? It feels like the passing of time. Because I'm looking at these flowers and I'm feeling slightly sad because they feel like they're ever so slightly past their prime. You know, they're starting to dry out a little bit. They're starting to lose their vibrancy. And it feels like when we do that with ourselves, you know, when we come across a picture of ourselves from 20 years ago and you're like, holy shit, like I was so concerned that I was fat and wrinkly back there, and actually I had literally no fat and no wrinkles. Like, what the fuck? I wish I'd actually enjoyed it at the time. That would be nice. You know, it's that kind of thing. Time is passing and it's going to continue to pass. And in some ways, it's drawing your attention. It's drawing your attention to it. It's making it underlined and sharply relieved for you, so that you can see that there's something here from the past that you're holding on to that is stopping you from moving forwards, right? And its expression in your current energy is whatever situation you find yourself in the middle of. But it doesn't have to be like that. Justice, mic drop moment. It's about consequences. Things that have been and gone, but things that could still be now. You know, in some ways we're looking at this and it's like, well, what is it in my past that has, as a consequence, caused me to feel like I need to get right in the middle and show everybody how much of a magician I am? When I see things like that, it makes me wonder if there was a point where a similar sort of thing has happened before and one failed with it, right? There's a kind of second chance sort of energy about this here. Well, I kind of fucked it up the first time, but I'm gonna fix it this time. To it then, you're not trying to You're not trying to fix the situation in front of you. What you're trying to do is deal with uncomfortable feelings about the last time it happened. Again, you got to take this as it resonates to you. I understand that this will not apply to everyone. But in addition to being your card, as the Justice card is, it's looking for the balance between cause and effect, action and consequence. And I think with a little bit of an eye on the past and no small amount of internal consideration as to how you've ended up where you are, I think that you're going to be changing things up. I think that in November you will decide to change things up, because quite frankly you're at the end. Yeah, fuck me. I mean, you're literally at the end of your tether now. Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck, we like that very much, but I tell you what, I quite like what's going on here too. We've got the Knight of Swords, we've got the Four of Wands in reverse, and we've got the Six of Swords. Now Six of Swords is movement away, and it is very definitely away, right? We don't have that kind of nuanced away from and toward that we get with the Eight of Cups. This is very clearly a getting away from this. And this is the way that you are thinking about something and how it is not serving you anymore, right? I often say that this is about cognitive loops and whatnot, where we just actually can't break out of a pattern of thinking. I think you are breaking out of a pattern of thinking this month, because I think the consequences of the level of responsibility that you've taken on, frankly, are proving to be too much for you, and you've had enough. You don't want it anymore. Now, that Four of Wands in the reverse is interesting to me, because it's, if this is the creation of a new foundation as it is in the upright, then when it shows up in the reverse, it's either breaking down of something or it is a refusal to keep building the bars of your own cage. That's how this is feeling to me. Again, it's a good card that is kind of coming up with some kind of negative connotations for me at this point. I actually kind of got an unpleasant feeling at the back of my throat. But more than that, what we have is you advocating that, you actually opening your mouth and laying it out as it is. And it's probably going to come out in a little bit of a jumble, and it's probably going to come out a little bit more, well, shall we say, a little sharper than you would have liked. But it's coming out nonetheless, and it will all be true, because you've had enough. Now, I don't know what your situation is, I don't know how old you are, but this is unsustainable the way that it has been. And part of all of this is the recognition that this is actually this way up, and it can't be this way up, because whoever you're dealing with, whether it's one person or a group of people, whether it's a situation that's been created or whatever, like, you're the one who's doing all of the heavy lifting in this, and ever will it be thus. There's no chance of somebody else doing their bit here. It's not happening. And so as a point of, you know, like I said, self-preservation, also of doing the right thing and taking responsibility for yourself, I see you walking away from all sorts of things and starting again in whatever sense that applies. You know, this feels to me like living very differently to the way that you have been living for the last few months, possibly longer. You know, this card here is the card of a happy home. For me, it's a card of celebration. This is not. This is realizing that this is all fucked and there is literally nothing you can do about it. Again, this is particularly important if there are shades of something that you have been through before that you are feeling about this situation, where you're trying to make up for something. Far, far better that you forgive yourself and move on than you continually getting stuck in these situations that are frankly depleting your vital energy out of you. I don't think that you have anything to be concerned about here. I don't think that there's anything. There isn't. I'm looking at this too. cards here, this Chariot card and this Justice card, and they seem to me to be one and the same. Both have themes of balance, both have themes of order, almost, but a kind of natural order. The balance that comes from things being in their right place, you know, in your head and wherever. Keeping the backgrounds on the cards and everything, the symmetry. It's really profound. You have to put yourself first, Libra. And it's not selfish to do so, not at this point, and definitely not in this situation, because you will continue having all of the work, all of the responsibility, unless you choose to stop. And that has absolutely no reflection whatsoever on your moral fibre, if you do choose to stop. And I feel like it feels like it's a moral problem for you. It's not one that you found your way around yet. But I would spend a bit of time thinking about where this situation is reminiscent to one that you might have been in before. The details will be different. Perhaps even the severity will be different of you know, either. But there are themes here. There are threads. And once you start picking up those threads, there's a bigger picture that's revealed to you. That's how it feels to me this month. So, Libra, I know that's quite a lot to take in. We're going to go and do some more now over at Vimeo. If you would like to join me over there, the link is in the description box. You could alternatively come join my Patreon community. The link for that, it's not Patreon at all. What the fuck? I'm not on Patreon anymore. Please don't come and join Patreon. I've moved to Circle, which is a far more appropriate platform for the kind of thing that we want to do over there with my community. But you can get access to all of the extended readings for no extra cost. If you are interested, you can do that. God, what an absolute mess I made of that. If neither of those apply, then not to worry at all. It's just that, like, something's got to give, Libra. And what I would really like for you is that it isn't your well-being, right? Emotional, mental, spiritual, physical. You have to recognize that, I don't know, you seem to be stuck in a bit of a cul-de-sac at the moment. It's time to turn around and back out and find yourself back up at the main road so you can start going forwards, right? Because there's nowhere really to go here. Just more of the same. Alright, I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.